Brett Perigo, tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terror Boys over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with and talk to. I really like them.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm talking here. You know who you're talking to? Macho Man! I'm on my way to Monday Night Raw.
How do I want to answer the second one?
Your choice.
It's a trap.
I feel like it is. I feel like he's setting up fights in the front stretch is what he's trying to do.
Speedway. Got Devin Gordon with us
At Keen Motorsports Shop here with Kyle Keen.
Sitting here with Sean Keen. We're going to talk a little bit about racing history.
Yep.
It is Monday, February 17th, 2025. I am Jimmy here with Chris and Jay-Z. We are the Turn 2 Terribles. Thanks, everybody, so much for tuning in tonight. We got a great show planned for you. Billy Dietrich is here with us tonight. Year number 3, it's become a yearly tradition of having Billy on the show right before Icebreaker. Always a great time talking with him. We'll catch up with him over the last from, everything from last year to what he's been doing over the winter and what 2025 looks like. Also, we'll take a look at the Icebreaker. It is this weekend. It's scheduled this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We'll be talking about that, taking a look at the schedule a little bit, and whatever else comes up. Everybody in chat, we see you guys. Mad Matt, what's going on? Steph says we're late. I was surprised because we were actually early in the pre-show thing, and actually, I felt like we were on time for once.
Steph thinks we're late because she's on time for once.
Randy, what's going on? Good evening from the Pigeon Hills. We see Mandy, Matthew Bird, Marie Beasley, Brandon Zirk. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. As always, if you got questions for Billy, you got questions for us, you got comments, make sure you're in the chat. Putting them in there, and we'll try to get to as many as we can. So, Chris, Jay-Z, how you guys doing on this chilly Friday evening, or Monday evening, February evening? Yeah, Friday.
Getting used to my new arrangement, but I'm good.
Yeah, man, good. A little under the weather, but we're hanging in there. Excited for tonight, for sure. Got the Motorama this past weekend. Got to see a little dirt fly. Got hit with a little bit of dirt. Do have to shout out the Motorama crew. Jeremy down there with that deal, and got to get on the floor a little bit. Almost got hit by a few motorcycles. So pumped up and ready to go to start avoiding some sprint cars soon, man. I'm ready to go. Tuned up.
I did see a video of you skirting just out of the way of a motorcycle that went full send into a tunnel.
And unfortunately, that wasn't the closest one. So the Achilles got more of a workout a few minutes later. that other one probably landed within 2 feet of my ankle. So,
Jeez.
So what I'm hearing is you're ready for softball in August.
I'm tuned up, buddy. We're ready to go. I'm fired up.
So, yeah, we'll talk about Motorama a little bit too, what you saw there. And, so before we bring Billy on, we do want to give our partners over at Vertical for Life a shout out. Did you know every 22 seconds, a veteran loses their life to suicide? We are proud partners with the great people over at Vertical for Life. They're dedicated to accomplishing
giving life-saving resources to veterans, one beat at a time. So you use that do music, right? So events, different things, draw money in just to get funds for the veterans that need it most. I personally don't know anything about serving overseas or anything like that, but mental health is a key thing. So if you get some help, it goes a long way. And Vertical for Life does that in a big way with shirts, hats, whatever else, some events to get donations. So if you can, go to verticalforlife.com and support them in some way. At the very least, tell a friend and follow the page. That goes a long way.
Yeah, local friends of the show, local. They're based here locally in Central PA, doing a lot for veterans. And I listened to a podcast today, and that epidemic is only growing. And anything you can do to support veteran suicide, and the prevention of it, and helping out these veterans, not only for it's really just post-military life and beyond. It only has gotten worse, and it continues to get worse. So. Shout out Vertical for Life, supporters of our show, supporters of what we do. And I see that they're actually supporting some sprint cars this year too. So I think Ron Rutherford, they're teaming up with Ron on one of the cars.
And, big sponsor of Cole Small and his new scheme,
yep,
which I saw some. I don't know that thing's out yet, but I
was
saw
at
some
Motorama.
schemes there. Big stuff. Trying to get the name out there, and it's just support those that help us live a free life in this America. So. Unlike those Jalen Hurts jerseys.
Go Birds, baby. Thanks for the save, Chris. My whole shit froze up in the middle of that, and I didn't know where I was. But yeah, absolutely support them. Go to verticalforlife.com. Support them with their cause. All right. Without further ado, let's bring on the man of the hour, Mr. Billy Dietrich. Billy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. How are you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back on. I appreciate it. And shout out to all the veterans out there, served, past, present, and we wouldn't be where we are without you. So thinking about them all the time.
Yeah, no doubt. And listen, you have a veteran that kind of works closely with your crew, right? Last few years, our beloved friend, what's his name? I can never remember his name. Oh, Nate, Mr. Nate, the infamous. No doubt. Billy, welcome, first of all. You've had a busy off season. We talked a little bit before the show, and I said, man, how was your off season? But I feel like we all kind of know how your off season's been because you do such a great job documenting it. Like documenting the end of last season, talking about some of the things you got going on in the shop, talking about how your off season's going, right? And you don't ever seem to really take a break. Even if you're on vacation, you're not really taking a break, but have you had some time to decompress after last year? You got a little bit early start to your off season, but you were healing. Are you refreshed, ready to go for 2025?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm ready to rock and roll. It was a little bit of a longer off season than we would have liked to have had, but all things considered, it was fine to take that time we needed to and get healed up. My neck feels really good. And Dr. Jason got me all tuned in down there. Everybody down there took good care of me. So, yeah, that was good. The off season has been, Heather does a great job of keeping our social media pages up to date and what's going on, the YouTube channel, everything else. So that's a great thing to stay connected with everybody. And we've been busy. It's probably our busiest off season ever. And I don't know that we'll ever do this again to this extent. We had a lot of plans this off season, so I don't want to say we were looking forward to the off season being over, but almost like we needed a break from our break, and here we are. So why fast?
Yeah, and here we are. We're the week of the Icebreaker now, officially the week of. And your post, and I appreciate your post on social media. You do such a nice job of like kind of putting it out there, kind of controversial, kind of not, but like, hey, everybody's a weatherman this week, and you're 100% right. We are all playing weatherman. I've been for a week because I'm excited as a fan. I'm ready to see race cars, but got some friends in the industry a little bit, and none of them are excited about this. Zero out of like 100 so far that I know are excited about this weekend. If the race goes on this weekend, on a scale of 0 to 10, how excited are you to be out there?
Well, that's a hard question to answer. As of right now, I'm excited to go racing in general. I'm ready to get back in the car, get that car out there. It looks great for all our sponsors. Everybody worked hard for it to get the way it is. On the flip side of that, the weather is subpar. I'll put it that way. I did see the temperatures are creeping up a little bit, but the nighttime temperatures are so low. So I'm really excited to get racing again. I just wish it was under easier circumstances where we didn't have to have this forecast hanging over our heads, and we kind of wonder about it affects a lot of things. I don't want to say it. It's it's a lot of preparation involved just to go get ready to go racing, and then to go there in such cold temperatures. You got to get everything cleaned up and stuff like that. So we'll see how it all shakes out. Maybe we'll race, maybe we won't. I feel pretty confident Jerry will do the right thing.
Yeah, right. And I think the hard part here is this: when you say the right thing, nobody's really going to know what right is. But here's the thing with the Icebreaker that really, I think, puts them in a hard spot. People show up no matter what. If that race is being put on, people show up, right? So it puts everybody in a spot where, like, he kind of knows and says, well, if it's thawed out, I can get people to park. They're going to show up. It could be under not great, like, ideal. They're going to show up. So I think that puts me even in a harder spot where, like, in the summer, if there's a threat of rain and it's a thunderstorm and people could go, stay home and I'll watch this, I'll go do that, there's a million other things to do. That could be an easy call to say, hey, we're out. The Icebreaker, I've been there so many years where my feet are freaking cold. It's miserable. The sun comes out and you feel warm, and then it goes behind a cloud and it feels 20 degrees colder and wind picks up. But everyone's there. The place is always packed. So put your promoter hat on. What would you do?
If I had, here's what I would do for sure. Looking at the forecast, the other flip side of this is actual racing surface. How well is that going to be? I know the ground's frozen. It's going to be cold all week. So to me, it's a no-brainer because I agree with everything you said. And you got 3 more weeks with nobody else racing in Central PA. So to me, if you waited for 1 more week, and let's just say on what the following weekend's forecast is, but you can still have a 2-day Icebreaker.
Yeah.
Nobody else is racing. If the weather's, I do kind of disagree a little bit with if the weather is really cold, I feel like that's going to hurt the crowd. I know your diehards are going to be there, but if it's 30 some degrees and overcast and it doesn't feel like 36 degrees, people are going to stay home, at least from my experience. And I would wait until next week. If you can get a weekend where the temperatures say it hits 50 and it's going to happen, then you're going to hit a home run. You could hit a home run 2 days in a row.
Yeah, agree completely. You're absolutely right. I think it will keep some people away, right? But man, remember the year, like the one that always stands out to me, why I say, like, hey, people show up. The year that they spontaneously threw in a Thursday because it was going to be 70. Do you remember that?
Well, yeah.
That place was Weeknight, that place was jam packed full of people. Everyone was like, "Yeah, we figured it out. We knew we were there." That was that was super interesting. That's not going to happen this year because it's going to be about 7 instead of 70. But
Yeah.
but definitely right. Parking and all those things. But we'll see how that all goes. So let's talk about your car for a minute. You revealed that this week, I think, or last week. It's Monday now. Different. I like it. Where did the neon green come from? Tell me about that. Was that just sort of a mock-up from the designer, or is that's something you kind of said, let me see something with green in it?
No, that was all me. So I'll just start by saying I think this was the easiest design we ever did. Zach did the design with the black, and he hit it pretty much spot on right out of the gate. And then the more we looked at it, I told her I feel like it needs something else just to I don't know, make it pop, make it come. I don't know. It just needs to stand out a little more. And I said, throw some green on there, some bright green, and hey, I think it looks great. I mean, black camo looks great on there. All the colors, a little bit orange. Of course, got a little bit of orange on there. No yellow. Heard enough about that last year. No red. I know.
I hate those two colors. That makes sense.
So, car looks good. I'm excited to get out there on the track. And new car. We got a new chassis. After last year, we didn't have many straight parts left, so we had to get a new car. And ready to get out there.
So I got one more, and I'll let the guys go here. Last year, well documented. Some injury stuff, a couple hard crashes in a row, a few hard crashes in a row. Any changes to your safety setup, safety combination equipment this year? Post that, did you make any changes? Obviously, listen, I don't think anything failed last year. There was just a lot of hard crashes back to back. Like they just were. It's part of the deal. But did you make any changes to your combo? What you want to do into 2025?
Yeah. So when after the crash at the Grove, which really wasn't a bad crash. I mean, the car just kind of tipped over on its nose, and then the way it landed on the rear end, which is obviously the worst way for the car to land. You'd rather land upside down or drive head on into the wall, really, or something like that. That's what kind of hurt my neck. And then we decided to look into that chasm system, which we have at our shop. A lot of guys are using it. If you watch the Outlaw race on Dirt Vision, there were some commercials there with Logan Schuhart promoting it. So we got that. We installed it. I think it's going to work out great. Everything that's there is to help prevent them kind of injuries from the force straight down, which actually goes straight up your spine. So we got that installed, and yeah, I mean that's. Other than that, I don't know how much safer we can get. Of course, the safety debate, we could talk about that for days on end. But we did install that. We got the seat pour in, which we had that last year, which I feel like that probably maybe saved me from even worse injuries last year. So it's in there. Like I said, that's about all we can do, I think, and short of just not racing.
Yeah, and listen, I'll make this comment for me. It's just for me. I feel like the drivers and teams and racers are doing more for safety than the tracks are at the moment, and it's more in your control, right? I think it's a not that I don't want to say it's more in your control. It's absolutely in everyone's control, but it's a small scale, right? A half a mile track, 3/8 mile track of doing safety. Not to give anyone a break on that, but I feel like the drivers are more aware and being more proactive than tracks are at this point. And I think it's going to it needs to level out some right now. And I think there were moments in time where I think everyone made leaps, but I think it just sort of goes quiet for a while. And I think it needs to be brought back to the forefront for the tracks to make sure that they're doing everything they can to keep advancing as much as the drivers are taking it in their own hands for themselves. That's my comment on that. You don't have to.
Yeah, I'll add something to that. I think the tracks, for the most part, racing is dangerous. Okay, like that it'd be no different than saying, the arena where the bulls or bull rider gets thrown off the bull, they should be doing something else. They should obviously have a quicker response, or maybe better fire equipment or something along them lines. So it's a catch-22, right? I mean, you inherently, you know, the danger going into racing. I remember my dad having that conversation with me when I turned 16 years old. I sat her down and said, hey, you know, I just want you to know you could get hurt bad, you could die. We won't talk about it, but it's the way it is. And so you know that going into it. I think what makes it so brought to the forefront is, you know, somebody gets hurt racing the car, and all of a sudden it's news. You know, like nobody really gets hurt at the racetrack. You know, like it'd be one thing if the bleachers were falling down and a spectator fell from the bleachers, as an example. You know, so that would be kind of a racetrack thing. I don't look at it that way. As far as I feel like we show up at the track, they have a safety crew, check. They got fire equipment, check. Ambulance, check. Which, believe it or not, there are some places that don't have an ambulance or a ambulance that could even leave the property. So, you know, if you can check them boxes, and then the competitors themselves are responsible. You know, you got to be responsible for yourself. You know, good equipment, good suit, no, you know, good stuff that's not wore out. Seatbelt are good. The seat's not mounted wrong. You know, and then somebody gets hurt. You know, it sucks. But what are you gonna do about it? Look at the guy last night. I mean, went flying through the air. There's the best of the best, right? NASCAR, and they still got cars flying in the air like you know, footballs. So it's inherently dangerous. It doesn't really bother me at all. I accept that, and something happens to me, well, then so be it. I know where I'm going, so I'm okay with it.
Yes, sir. Love that. Jimmy, Chris.
Well, before I go into my questions, Billy, you mentioned something there. You go into a track, you have these check the boxes, right? If you roll into a place that doesn't have one of those checks, whether it be an ambulance or whatever else, what do you do as a car owner or a driver?
Just leave.
Or both. Just leave. That makes sense.
I mean, we've had, I'm not going to call any tracks out, but I know there were some concerns a few years ago about some local tracks that maybe didn't have the proper weekly equipment there for a weekly show. And then when he had the 410s there, it was an issue. It was addressed prior to by several people. It was brought to their attention, and they stepped up. You know, I'm not saying it's right. They should have it there all the time, but we can only control what we're there to do. We showed up. Track had the local fire company there as you know, with the fire trucks and EMTs and ambulance. So, hey, I'm not opposed to if it don't feel right, we'll just leave. I mean, I don't.
Right.
One more race isn't going to make or break me.
But that's almost advice to any driver, whether it be street stocks or go karts. If it doesn't feel right, just leave. Right? Is that something you would say to those guys? My question is though. So, Billy, you mentioned me after the report card deal last year. So I gave you a C+. The fans in general, C. How do you rank last year in your own words for you?
Worst year ever. Worst year ever. Corey, it's been helping me on my crew since 2000. He keeps all the notes and all the stats from every single year, and he said, well, without a doubt, this was our worst year ever across the board. You know, and I don't even know where to start, you know, with circumstances. I think like back to the first race this year at BAPS, we go to BAPS and get a flat tire before we even go green in time trials. And then it just seemed like, you know, we did have a very few decent nights throughout the year at like Port Roll. We ran decent there a couple times, which is unexpected. Now Lincoln was absolutely the worst. And then, you know, just all the crashing, you know, for us, it was just get behind, you know, and get behind. And then, you know, we crash, come home from Pittsburgh, go to Lincoln, crash again, fix it up, come back a couple weeks later, you know, the next thing you know, and we roll into August, crash, you know, crash again, season's over. Right. So It's just a bad year. I think you were very gracious with your grade. I appreciate that. There was a time in my life where C anything minus plus
C's
would
get
have been
degrees, buddy.
stellar.
We know this.
I would love the C grade, but
C's get degrees. No, we
So
go
wait.
back. So one of those is Clinton County, right? You had QuickTime that night. Cup is someone else's mess, and that effectively ended your season more or less, right?
well, we came back the next weekend. And that's when I crashed into Grove, and then my season was over. But yeah, the Clinton County deal, we quick timed it there, and then I was just back. I should have been back there, and that's part of the thing too. You got to qualify better, which we quick timed that night, but we didn't heat race well, and then you're back amongst other mid pack, and it's just the same thing at night at the Grove. We're back here in the B main. It shouldn't have been there, and it's just a racing thing, right? Shit happens, and it's the way it is.
So when you say it's your worst year ever, would you say it's because the expectations were higher, or just in general? Like, I feel like we talked here a year ago now going this, and the expectations were fairly high. Is that why it's the worst year ever, or it's just in general? It's just like, damn, we can't catch a break.
Just in general. I mean, yeah, the expectations were obviously to do better, but we just couldn't catch a break. I mean, some like I said, some of that was us. I made some bad decisions. That night, the night at Baps, I left the screwdriver laying on the valve cover. We go out and the car won't even run. Well, that's 100% me. And I. Once you start second guessing yourself on certain things, it seems like it kind of snowballs. And I had a period of time last year where I think I was in that mental rut. I'm working on that right now. I told Heather, one of my things for 2025 is a different outlook, different attitude, just being positive. I'm going to stay positive, and last year kind of got me down a lot of ways. So we'll be all right. We'll be fine.
Naturally. So I have two more. We're going to switch gears here. They're fan questions, and my fans, or your fans, and my fans, they're weird. So the first one is, Billy, if you were to fight a bear, do you think you could win?
If I were to what?
Fight a bear.
Oh, fight a bear.
I'm not. You picked the bear. They just asked me if you could beat a bear.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a man of the woods. I mean, there ain't much I haven't encountered out there. So I can build a fire. I can chop a tree.
But could you beat a bear, though?
Yeah, I could probably beat a bear. I mean, with my bare hands.
You are the macho man. I appreciate that. I love it. And before I turn it over to Jimmy, there's a lot of good fan questions here.
And that's the bottom line.
You are BDB. How big are we talking here?
I mean, it's a good question. You ever have a Deer Park water bottle? Next question.
Jimmy, you're up.
All right. So listen, I real quick. I'm gonna. No, go ahead, Jimmy. I can't. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I know you were trying to say something before.
So all the bad luck last year, can't catch a break. You decided to put fucking green on the car. Don't you know anything about superstitions in racing?
Hey, I'm not superstitious at all. I mean, it doesn't scare me. I'm good. They might. Hey,
green's a great color.
It's okay. The green's good.
He's fine as it's not a red 8.
Jimmy's got a green shirt hanging there, so
that's right.
Jimmy's also color. He's
all right. Jimmy, give us some fan questions. Give us some fan questions or Jimmy questions.
Billy's got something to say to me.
I got a question for you, Chris. How's your mouth? Last time I saw your mouth was on fire.
Yeah. Seth tricked me, and it's okay now. We burned a lot together.
Tricked you? How did Seth trick you?
It was actually Jimmy, but Seth and I suffered together.
You look like a man. I was impressed.
I think his eyes hurt more than his mouth, though, because I told him how many times to wear the glove, and he wouldn't listen, and then he rubbed his eye, and he's like, oh, it's just a crumb in there, blah, blah, blah. You were crying because
unlike
your eyes are red.
we take losses like men here, and you put in your eye, you still have to cry a little bit. It's okay.
Just
Look at
remember-
Rumsey owns Seth and I now. It's fine.
That's it.
It's whatever.
Seth hears you talking smack right now. I'm just letting you know.
Seth actually wanted to hug me the other day. I made that up. He goes, "What the fuck you doing here?"
Hey, Seth was good on your YouTube videos, by the way. I love
Yeah,
his
you're
little
doing a good
cameos
job.
there helping you out. He did a good job.
About time he's been useful. Love you, Seth.
Before we get into fan questions, just overall, schedule-wise, anything for 2025? What's it looking like? Anything special that you have planned out? Anything new? Anything different?
Yeah, we got like 173 races on the schedule. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, very similar to last year. Like the same stories before with Danny getting out and about. We can't do a whole lot of, run around, which is okay. We kind of do our own thing. We're going to do a couple trips to Western PA like we did before. One thing that was kind of on my bucket list, been on there for a long time, but I don't think we'll be able to achieve it. But you never know. I thought it'd be really cool to go to another country and race. The Outlaws go to Canada, so that was I kind of eyed that up a little bit there, but it's not too realistic for us with the way the schedules fall. But yeah, we're not going to be at any one track every week. We won't be at Lincoln every week. Or the Grove. We're going to try and run some more stuff at Port. Sealands Grove's got some shows, obviously, and quite a few 3-race weekends this year. So we're going to look at them prior to the weekend and try and decide where we want to go as far as breaking that up into 2 nights instead of 3. With the exception of some stuff like the Speed Week, we'll hit the first Lincoln Baps, Lincoln. There'll be 3 nights and some other stuff through there. So I don't know if we're going to do much with like I just said about the Outlaws on Canada. So that's, like I said, not really realistic. But I'm not sure if we're going to do the Outlaw shows when they come to town at Lincoln. We'll have to wait and see. The second one, we're going to be out of town on a wedding. And then we're going to be out of town earlier in the year for another wedding. So there'll be 2 weekends where we're not going to be around. But overall, I had 69 dates wrote down on the calendar. Obviously,
Nice.
Nice.
Men.
I can't get nothing past you guys, can I? So we'll see. I think last year before our season ended, we were close to 40 races that we went to. So we'll see how it all shakes out. I'm excited. We're sitting pretty good equipment-wise. We got some fresh motors, and like I said, we got a new car, and we put together another spare car, which is probably 85% complete. And we should be, with a little bit of luck, we'll be okay.
How about Path Valley? High limit Path Valley?
Yeah, Path Valley for sure. I'm looking forward to that. For sure, that's a good one. That Sunday Speed Week race is going to be good, I think. Yeah, we'll definitely be there for sure. Clinton County shows, we'll be there. There are a couple other races I think we kind of had penciled in. I don't have the schedule right in front of me, but Lernerville's got some shows, extra shows, and there's some weekends where I think the Outlaws are around the area or something, or maybe we're dark and there's some races in Western PA we might go out for. They actually got some races out there that pay some decent money this year that aren't sanctioned. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
You mentioned high limit, and there was a fan question earlier about joining high limit. For that high limit race, if you do 1 high limit race or 5 high limit races this year, the way it all falls, will you put the shock adjuster on and will you take advantage of that, or will you, because it's not required to have that part of it, will you take advantage of that and have everything ready to go for just a couple events?
Yeah, for sure. Actually just ordered it's a cheap item. I mean, it's just a couple little items, a knob and a cable. So it's not much money. So yes, I'll have it. I think if everything I'm hearing is right, you probably, and I haven't seen the rules yet, Port Royal, I believe, will more than likely follow the high limit rules. since High Limit goes
Makes
there.
sense.
So if that is the case, you should be able to use your adjuster there. I don't see why they would follow the outlaw rules. The outlaws don't go there.
Correct.
But here again,
That makes
nobody's
sense.
put any rules out yet other than the Grove. But yeah, I'll have the shock adjuster. Oh yeah.
I think that makes sense too for Port Royal because I mean you want your guys to, your weekly guys to be able to put up a fight. When
Absolutely.
High Limit comes in for the big show, so you want to be on the level playing field to be adjusted.
I think that's a
The work
perfect
that comes
segue for Jimmy. Jimmy, go ahead. Fire away with your question, buddy.
Get into some fan questions. Hold on.
That was a segue, though.
Oh,
Leisure.
this was the perfect segue. I mean,
It wasn't.
he-
All right.
Shitting me?
So, all right. So, I forgot about my new question. I finally have a question. These guys always had a question. What is your overarching view on the current state of sprint car racing? Be it local, nationally, just where are we at as a driver and as a fan?
Well, just so you know, I watch every week.
I know you do.
I knew this question
know
was
you
coming.
do.
So I'm gonna break it down.
All right. It is a very loaded, very wide question.
So first of all, I'm gonna give you the Bill Dietrich, the business breakdown of the things because I see it from two different ways here.
Right.
As of right now, I'm a little concerned when it comes to the racing scene. We haven't seen as many. I don't know. We just haven't seen as much traffic, or I should say like this: new people getting into racing locally. I know I've heard some stuff, read some stuff online, but nobody can say, "Yeah, this is the guy," or "This is the guy." I know there's some people moving from class to class, but I don't know many new people that are just getting in to the local sprint car racing. I'm sure there is some, but just haven't seen them at our shop. So, which is kind of unusual. Okay, so that's one side of it, and maybe the economy. You hear all kinds of stuff. I know, people are it's expensive, right? So that's one part that I'm a little concerned about. The flip side is there's race cars everywhere. You turn the TV on, and there's cars everywhere. I mean, Florida's got cars coming out their ears. So, if that's any indication, and it's hard to tell until we get rolling in Central PA, hopefully we're okay. Definitely the two big series. I don't know. It's like it's almost like it doesn't even matter anymore. Last year everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, how's this going to work? Can they coexist?" To me anymore, it's like it's not even a thing. They're going to coexist. There's enough cars that have enough money to do that either tour. So that's 30 cars right there, right? Close.
Yeah.
But on the local scenes, I don't know how it's all going to shake out. When it comes to Fast and All Stars and all this other stuff. I feel like we'll see. If they get any traction, is my point with that. Hope they do.
Yeah.
Be good for all the Ohio, Western PA guys. Have another source there, but overall, I think until we see otherwise, I would say it's pretty healthy. But it seems like it's like a big circle, like everything in life. It's just a constant circle. So it's going to go up and it's going to come back down. And I'm not sure if where we're at on that circle. You could say back a couple years ago, we were definitely on the up. Things were going up. So when does it teeter the other way? Only time will tell.
Yeah.
So you have a pretty good pulse, on the sport. Obviously, being driver, business owner, the business revolves around the sport. What do you think about Danny's season? Right, he was already a hot topic about Florida and success, not success, and it's much to do about nothing. Volusia's its own little animal, right? He likes to go on vacation in Florida, and he figured, hey, I'll pick up some races while I'm there. What do you look at Danny's season? What do you like? It's your brother. You work together. You live like you guys don't separate very often. So what are you looking at for his season? He's got a very aggressive schedule, tons of racing. We're inevitably going to rain out some. But what do you look at for his season? How prepared do you think they are ready for 2025?
I think they're probably as prepared as they can be. I would expect them to. Remember how many races he won last year? Did he win 10 maybe? I don't remember.
I think it was more than that. I think he ended up at.
It was like almost 14, I think.
Was it? Okay.
I think.
Told you how much.
I think so. Yeah.
I just know he kind of tapered towards the end of the year. There, he kind of tapered off a little bit, so he wasn't happy with that. But
yeah,
he's definitely okay. So listen, like I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like my brother, and of course I see him in a different light because he is my brother. I say this all the time, but I love him. He's my brother. I don't say that jokingly. I actually do love him. I care about him. I feel like he works pretty damn hard. He probably doesn't get the credit for that. He helps me as much as he can. I mean, look at me. You can only do so much with this. But I think he's going to do well. They put a lot of effort into changing their program around. Didn't really work out in Florida, but sometimes you gotta embrace the suck to enjoy the good times. So
you gotta approach it like a preseason game. You know what I mean? You're trying to shake out the cobwebs, figure things out.
Yep, that's true. So we'll see. I think it'll be all right. Success wouldn't be so good if it wasn't for pain, right?
Yeah, I agree. And listen, it's a long season. There's a lot of races to get it right. And over the course of time, last season, I don't know how he would evaluate his own season, but you win $75,000 by May, you're going to feel okay about a little bit about it, right? Even if you have a dry spell, hey, we can get this rolling. So, but I don't want to. This isn't a Danny podcast, but I knew it would come up at some point. I don't know. Never heard of it.
I want to chime in quick, just there, real quick. So, Billy, how hard is that as Danny's brother on the business side? And you read the social media stuff, and you see maybe the pots that he stirs, and maybe you agree, maybe you don't. How hard is that to detach from being Danny's brother to, hey, he's right though, or whatever it is, like to watch just the hate he gets for whatever reason?
Well, it doesn't bother me that much. There are a few times where I'll scratch my head, or Heather might be like, "What the hell's wrong with your brother?" But I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I feel like in the 90% range, somewhere up there, he says what needs to be said that nobody wants to say.
Yeah,
now,
I agree.
The timing may not be right. The approach may not be right. But the words are right.
Yep.
So take it, leave it, love it, hate it. I don't care. Yeah, sometimes I was like, yo, dude, all right, enough is enough. But
I'm picturing you two in a bar. Some of the comments he gets. If you guys were in a bar together, just sitting there having a drink, some dinner, if those people were talking to y'all the way they would on Twitter to Danny, what would you do?
Well, he said he would beat a bear, so
yeah,
yeah, but
I'm pretty sure he would take care of business in a bar.
That ain't nothing compared to the pandemonium over there off 34.
Right over here. Anything less than Andre the Giant.
He ain't scared.
Over.
Sticking out there.
So would yeah, I had a thought and it's gone.
I got that problem sometimes.
Yeah.
Lots of good comments here.
Yeah, there are. There's a lot of good here.
What's up, Phil?
Let's. We want to get to a couple questions here.
Oh, I want to talk about Seth real quick. So, Seth was involved in some YouTube videos. Seth, I see him help out, 30 or 40 teams a season, wandering around the pit area looking for something to do. Usually eating food, though, mostly. I hear Ryan Newton's coming back to PA. So, I think he told me like April. So, you guys are kind of close with Ryan. Work. Y'all park near each other. Seth kind of helps out Ryan a little bit. I know he's kind of with the group. How's that dynamic work when Ryan, comes back in town and like, Oh, it sounds like he's coming back. Is Seth going to help out Ryan again, or is Seth ever going to help you on your car?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, Seth Dietrich is so popular. Hey, I just want you to know he wanders around our kitchen just like he wanders around the racetrack looking for food. I tell you, he's 21. If there's any girls out there, he's 21. He's got no record. Clean. No arrested. No kids
Just
that I'm
feed the
aware
damn
of.
kid.
I mean, find him at the racetrack.
Ladies, hey, I mean,
farm.
I think he's scared of girls. I think he's scared of them, to be honest. I don't know.
he is also faster than Chris.
He's here. Oh, he's right in the other room here. He ain't that fast. I seen him. Barely keep up with you, Chris.
Chris can't hear you.
Chris, I don't know what Chris is doing over there.
No,
We're
on
never
a serious
quite sure.
note, I think Seth's pretty much committed to helping Ryan Newton. Them guys, they're seems like they're like, holy shit, all kinds of ready to go racing. They got new motors, new cars, new trucks, new trailers.
Awesome.
So I think they're ready for a full assault on Central Pennsylvania and the rest of the country.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Hell
That's
yeah.
good to hear.
So soon, excited for him to go there. He's a gasser.
Yeah, he is. for sure.
You mentioned about the state of sprint cars, and one of the things you mentioned, and this isn't what I was thinking about, but that'll hit me. That'll come back to me. One of the things you mentioned, like that like outlaw high limit, it just sort of it is what it is. It exists, and it's not a big deal. That was sort of my vibe from the start. Was you got this group and this group there, while there's this like competition fans have created and the media created, they're just going and doing their thing. Like they're not really crossing paths a whole lot, and there's not a lot of crossover. If anything, high limit participating with the outlaws more because they created it that way, that you can go do what you want to do. We're going to give you the time, and there's no penalty for it. Feeling like the new kid on the block and making the waves, and they've left it that way. And if anything, the Outlaws kind of said, 4 races, we'll give you 6 now. Like, kind of went the other way. And again, I don't want to create a divide there, but yeah, very much like what you said, it was 14 cars there and 14 cars there, and they're just going to go about their business. Central PA, though, what I've seen in the last few years is the best of the best kind of traveling more. They're kind of getting out there. They're going a little further, getting off the porch. The Macris, the Dannys, the Brents, right? Like they're going out. So what does that leave us here in Central PA when those big teams, those big series come to PA? Are we feeling like, hey, we're better prepared, or I feel like we've been a little bit behind the last couple of years? What's your view on that?
Yeah, I mean, we're slow. I mean, I don't want that sounds terrible, right? But like, let's be honest. When's the last time we beat anybody with the except? Okay, Danny won that Weicker, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to pure speed, it appears as well that us Central PA as a whole, we're just like slow. I mean,
yeah.
You used to say, okay, well, Lance is going to win or contend for the win in the 69K, which was true. Now that's not a thing anymore. And then you kind of had Marks in your back pocket because he was like, he wasn't dedicated to anybody. Now he's gone. I know there's fast cars here, and including my brother, and you got, the 39M when he's around. 23 car with Dietz this year. That should be interesting. Yep. And there's other cars too, right? So
sure.
But it just seems like, this isn't Central PA of 20 years ago, and like the rivalry was epic. You had Swindell and Kinsler and Lasowski, and then you had Hodnett, Raymer, DeWeese, Kreitz, Kaufman, which one of my all-time favorites is Keith Kaufman. But I don't know. It's just like, and is that the competition here? Is that what's doing it? Maybe it is. I don't know, but we're off. I mean, hopefully that changes, but seeing's believing, and I haven't seen it happen in a while. So maybe I shouldn't say it like that because I'm one of the guys, but I'm not one of them guys in a sense. I know my role. We're not a $1 million team, so hopefully they get it together. But when these guys travel, I mean, Macri travels well. I noticed he won some high limit stuff before, but I don't know. They're going to be as fast when they come home.
Yeah, I agree, and listen. One of my bold takes was we won't win an outlaw race this year or a high limit race as a local group. I don't want to be pessimistic about it, but I feel like I'm realistic about it. And we're close with Troy. We love Troy, and I think Troy can continue to make strides in his career. But if we look at where the traveling series are going to participate, it's going to be Port Royal and Williams Grove in bulk. We got Lincoln. We have 2 Lincolns and a Baps. At Lincoln, you got to think Danny. You got to think Anthony, right? That's fair. Matt Campbell. There's some potentials, but some of those guys have to have the perfect night. They have speed, but they got to have the perfect night. I think Danny could overcome some of that. Danny's got to get the time trials figured out, self-admittedly. No knock there. Anthony has the best chance of that, right? But if his night doesn't go well, what do we have? Troy's got to have a perfect night. He's not quite like he's there knocking on the door, but he's got to have a perfect night. When we go to Williams Grove, and it's the best of the best, and it's the World of Outlaws, who in our group is competing with David Gravel?
Well, I mean, I guess I did mess up because TJ Stutz won, right? So shout out to that guy. Pretty awesome. Super upset, but the guy was fast. He was fast all year, right, at the Grove. Sure. So I don't know. You know, I think that there's definitely okay. It's like this. They're not that far off. So
no.
You can use Troy Waldman, for example. Great guy. He's a good driver, clean driver. You know, I want to give a shout out to that guy.
Don't boost his ego.
I'm just telling you, call it for what it is. I'm just telling you, when I think of certain people, if certain things pop into my brain, other people I wouldn't say that about, but okay. So he can time trial well, right? At least on the local shows, it seems like he's always up front there. So yeah, give him a little more time. Maybe this is his year, right? There's no doubt in my mind that, and I'm not just saying because he's my brother, but if Danny Dietrich can time trial in the top 10, you got your hands full because he's going to race as well as anybody. Yep. And there's everybody else too. I see somebody commenting, Justin Wills fast. Yeah, that guy's fast. He's fast too, right? So, and the 69K, I don't know who's going to drive it, but oh yeah, Ryan Smith's driving.
Ryan Smith, yeah.
Sorry, I should apologize.
Last I heard, it drove itself.
Yeah, it seems like it's super fast, but we just got to get faster somehow. The group does. And it'll probably happen. It's just a matter of it actually working out, like you said, the whole night, which is what it takes to win all these races.
And I feel like there's a turnover. I feel like there's a turnover right now in sort of that age veteran group, right? Like Lance was that group, Fred was that group, Greg was that group. And it's sort of having a transition right now where that is transitioning into the Dannys and the Anthonys being veterans, right? And they're not old guys, but they're at that point where it's like, okay, you're our guys. You're our guys to go do that. And Anthony's a young guy, but at the same time, he's got a lot of experience, and we need that Troy and Chase. I think Chase, if this works out well, Chase could be that guy for Central Pennsylvania, not just locally, but when everyone else comes to town, he's the guy you're going, we're going to whoop their ass, and here's a couple of the guys that are going to do it. And it's a guarantee, like, you know it, right? We were at that level at some point. I think Danny, Anthony, and Chase have to be right now, and maybe Troy on their heels. Need to see Troy take that step, and we love him, but next level for all those tracks, you know? And so I'm hopeful for sure. Jimmy, Chris, what do we got? Any good fan questions? Anybody got a good one?
I have real quick, Jimmy. So one, I'm just imagining Billy Dietrich winning the Summer Nationals after what we saw with TJ Stutz doing it. Holy shit. But hey, I have one.
Keep dreaming, buddy.
But if you did, I don't think there would be a night 2.
It would be bird.
But I have a fan question sent to me from someone named Duckfoot. He wants to know what setting you use on your beard trimmer and who cut your majestic locks.
So the beard, 1/8 to 1/4.
All right.
Okay. I need a little trim. The hair's getting out of hand. I haven't been, I need to get it cut. Local barbershop does it in town here in Victorville. So I got So
There you go. There you go, Duckfoot. There's your answer.
You know,
Jimmy, that's all
back to something you said, Jeremy. It's like when I go to Lincoln anymore, sometimes I look through the pit area and I am, I think, maybe the oldest guy there some nights.
Yeah. Yeah.
With my hands.
You're not wrong. Think about that, right?
Yeah.
Like
it's scary. It's scary.
It's definitely, there's a changing of the guard happening, and I don't think that we're worse. I just think it's just a turnover in like the generational thing, right? There's a generational gap kind of thing there, and it's like who's going to take the mantle, right? And I was critical of Danny on here a couple times. I'm not a fan, but I was critical, like, hey, I hold you in high regard, my guy, not just for like this is what I was remembering earlier. He reminds me of Kevin Harvick, young Kevin Harvick and veteran Kevin Harvick, a guy who it was emotion. It was, hey, he has it up here, has the talent, but it's emotion led his actions, and he's turning into a guy who's going to lead the pit area, a guy who's going to lead the sport, a guy who's going to lead the generation. And I think Danny's turning into that, not just with results, but his voice. And I think maturity is going a long way. And he's going to be a guy, I think, who can carry the posse, not just in results, but also a voice of the sport a little bit, right? And of a local area. So that was kind of my comment earlier about like going, what the hell was Danny thinking? We've all thought that the last maybe decade of going, holy shit, this guy, look, he's going off the rails. He's Kanye Dietrich, right? Like, not quite that bad, but like we're like, what the hell?
That's an extreme comparison.
He's definitely not that cool.
But he's right. Like you said, he's right on more than he's wrong. But did it carry enough weight other than controversy? I think he's getting to that point where people respect Danny in a lot of ways, on track and off track. But he's carrying that mantle a little bit as the veteran guy who's not old. Like you said, you might be the oldest guy in the pits, but I think that's kind of the transition we're going through in Central PA of who's going to carry that torch a little bit.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, he's been around a while, so. I would imagine sooner or later you're going to mature, and
maybe I think he agrees with this.
I would say
mature, Danny.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, like, I agree. It's I don't know. We can speculate. We'll see. I mean, leader of men.
Just don't give him Patron, and don't have him on the podcast after he throws his phone in the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That day we were gonna have him on the pod, and he's like, I lost my phone. The day of the pod, he's like, I lost my phone and it fell in the pool again. I'm like, again?
He doesn't
happen before.
Wow.
Before I start rapid firing we have quite a few fan questions. I had to you brought something up. Both you and Danny were pretty much big surprises for me on how well you guys ran at Port Royal last year. Do you know why that is? I mean, I know Danny's run well there in the past too and everything, but I was really shocked by his Weichert win, and then every time you showed up, you were fast. So was it something different last year?
Yeah, a little combination of things. I mean, we got some better motors, it's been a struggle for us to accumulate several different things to be able to get to that point. So we had some better motors. Like for Speed Week, we timed well, which we got lucky with the pill draw, but we still timed well. We raced well, and then I think I don't know, just the setup, the way the track race was worked out better for me. I take a little different approach last year to how I drove the track. Just kind of did what I was comfortable with at the time, because before I would almost psych myself out. Might sound strange, but you talk to other drivers, they'll kind of tell you the same thing. Like, it doesn't make sense to have to drive into the fence to make speed, and it's a little intimidating too if you don't do it all the time. So I just kind of took a different approach, raced my race my way, and it worked out for us a couple times. And I'm excited to go back there. I did hear that they are supposedly going to get rid of some of it's banked so hard in 1 and 3 and 4 to the top of the track. I heard they're going to try and get rid of some of that to maybe bring the track back to more even, which is kind of what it needs.
Yeah, I agree.
In my opinion, just to even out the surface from top to bottom. And for me, that would be great. I mean, I think that would make the racing better. So I'm excited to see that if it is true. We'll be there. We'll be there, more this year probably than last year.
Awesome. I was glad to see it last year, and I'm a big pork guy, obviously, but no, it was awesome. It was awesome to see you run up there last year. All right, let's get into some fan questions. I'm going all the way back to kind of the beginning here. Randy Kopp says, Billy, if you could change one rule or thing about sprint car racing, what would it be?
Well, that's a tough question because there's so many things. I guess the most okay. So if there was a way to somehow make the motors last longer, I mean, I guess that would be where it's at. I mean, the tires, the wings, we hear about all the time. You're still going to wear out your tires. You're still going to need wings, whatever. I just, the motors, like I just got done saying, they're expensive, which we know, and it is motorsports. There's no way around it, right?
Yeah.
But if there was a way to kind of just rein that in a little bit, maybe it wouldn't make it any cheaper, but maybe it would make it last longer.
Okay.
For me,
that's an interesting one.
That would be a bigger thing if it kind of, maybe took some of the power away somehow. And there's all kinds of ways of doing it, but it would involve other things. So that'd probably be the one thing, just to try and, save on the motor cost because it's super expensive and it's crazy.
It's the biggest cost of the sprint. You know what I mean? Like that's the biggest thing that you have into it.
When you have to get a motor rebuilt and it's nothing blowed up, and you look at the bill, and I'm not blaming anybody because everybody has to make money and survive. It's like, holy shit, this is insane.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because I actually listened to the deep dive, Jeremy Elliott's deep dive with Kyle Pruitt today. I'm a little bit behind on it, catching up on some things, but he mentioned about the exact same thing, saying, I wish we may not, an original brand new engine may cost a lot of money. That may not change. But what if we get them to last another 10, 15, 20 races? And he talked about compression. Now, he said that the testing would have to be caught up, but wouldn't that be worth it if we all could get 10, 15, 20 more races out of it, but we test for compression? Wouldn't that offset make sense? And not like the track absorbs a lot more cost. It's more time to tear down an engine and test for compression. I don't even think compression testing is that crazy. I was in the service side of the auto business for a lot of years. To test compression in a vehicle doesn't take that much time or money, but he talked about a compression rule. Would that actually prolong engines enough?
Sure. Yeah. Compression will make power, but also will be the death to the engine because it'll eventually over time hammer the rod, hammer the bearings out, and obviously the piston gets weaker, wrist pin, and the valve train. The valves. Obviously you got the exhaust valve opening up with all that compression in there, so it would definitely help. Yeah, that's a good point.
Interesting.
Speaking of motors here, when we're talking about Icebreaker, Steph asked, how much does the cold weather hurt the cars?
Yeah, it's not good on the motors. You can't keep heat in the motors. I mean, even if you have an engine heater, our motors are aluminum, so it disperses the heat really well, which is a good thing when it's hot out. But when it's cold out, it's the opposite. You just can't keep the engine warm. The motors are built with such close tolerances. We're talking thousandths of an inch. You may be talking 4 thousandths, just throw it out there. Piston to wall, cylinder wall clearance, which isn't much at all. So you figure there's a lot of expansion in formulated in there with, aluminum expands and this, that, and the next thing. So that is what draws me to the side of not racing when it's cold, because there's so much invested in these engines for a team like us that you'd hate to go out there and, just the lack of being able to keep the engine heated up. Plus, here's another side of it. When the engine's cool, just think about like if you ever had a quad or anything with a carburetor on it, when the engine's cold, you have to pull the choke out to get it to run. It needs more fuel to run. Same thing for our sprint cars. The engine's cold. It needs more alcohol. It's calling for more fuel, which the alcohol actually cools the engine. So you're like double. Like
you're double down.
The atmosphere's cold. The alcohol is cooling the engine. So it's hard on the engines. Not good.
Well, how do you explain Volusia, but it's 70 degrees, but they still blow up at Volusia? What's the difference? How's that differ when they keep blowing up there?
Altitude. Yeah.
Well, isn't there proper tuning for that, or is that just
there is?
It's just shitty. Okay.
I mean, there's proper tuning for that scenario down in Volusia, but you can't adjust for the atmosphere temperatures.
Okay. I always wondered that. Right? I heard cold's bad for them, but they go down to Volusia, it's 75 degrees or whatever degrees, and they still blow up. Like,
it's the
sea
level. Yeah.
Okay. 10-4.
It's just wild, like thinking about how all that stuff works together. And
yeah, it's crazy how fragile they are for expensive as they are.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of a shitty deal about it. Like, you wish they weren't so fragile for as expensive as it was,
Randy Kopp has a question, and this was an interesting one that I saw. One track is using drones and starts and restarts in 2025. What is your opinion on this? I think it's a good idea. The drone has a perfect view overhead of the start.
Man, I don't ever want to have to talk about starts and restarts again. I mean, it's just like last year, the year before, wore me out. All that bullshit. If it works, great. I don't even. It's so bad. But
I'm gonna set the Vegas line on how many restarts that you jump.
Yeah, I don't start me on a
at 2. I'll do that 2 over under.
But how many is he guilty of?
Well, probably
0.
I'm always innocent.
Jump the cushion here. Ask any wrestling themed merch in the pipeline. I need a Billy Dietrich racing shirt in the style of NWO. I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a good question. Merch. So if you're out there watching, stay tuned to our socials. We just got our merch in this evening.
Oh, nice.
Still boxed up. We didn't get it unboxed yet. So I believe sometime tomorrow, Heather's going to be making some kind of a merch post online, maybe making the merch live on our website. So, yeah, stay tuned. You're going to want to, it may have some kind of a theme to it, but stay tuned. You might like it.
Cool. Make sure you check out his socials here, and we'll share it when you guys put it up.
Yeah.
Troy Savage might have the comment of the night.
Let's do it.
Where is it?
Most recent.
I know Troy.
Jumping starts and selling parts.
Yeah.
If that's not on a t-shirt.
Sold a lot of shirts. It's a good idea.
That's fantastic. Troy, well done, sir. Well done. I love it. Like, I'm not creative that way. That's fantastic.
It's a great one.
Right.
I like the NWO comment.
I do. I like the NWO thing.
Wyatt Hammaker. Who's the person you're most excited to race with in 2025?
What's up, Wyatt? What's up, buddy? Wyatt's like the coolest kid. Wyatt's dad was at the shop today. I told him, like, dude, your kid's awesome. He's like, ah! Everybody always says that about their kids, right? Oh, your kid's great. You're like, what? Who are you talking about? I don't know. I guess I'll race with Doug Haymaker some this year.
Hey, there you go.
We're going to come see you, Wyatt.
Wyatt just joined our iRacing League, actually. He joined our Discord. How old is Wyatt?
I think he's like, what is he? He's just a kid.
He's too damn young to be in our Discord.
He can sign his name.
He's too damn young to be in our Discord. I'm just going to put it out there.
I'm just going to tell you a little story about Wyatt real quick. He went with us to Hagerstown for Speed Week. With Hagerstown, right? And we'll walk up to the pit shack window there. Of course, you got to sign in. And the lady says something about, oh, okay, how old are you? He says how old he is. She's like, oh, can you sign your name? He's like, I can sign my effing name.
Turns out
That's
he is
awesome.
old enough to be in our Discord.
Okay, he'll be perfect.
Yeah,
We call that shop talk.
Mad,
Ben Thomas, Billy, what's in your cup? What did you decide on?
I went with I saw Jay-Z was drinking something on the rock, so my wonderful wife got me this Honeycrisp apple brandy.
Mason Dips.
So it's really smooth. It's really good. It was a gift last year, and it's good, smooth. So that's what I'm doing. I don't do
Good
much
stuff.
hard liquor. So,
Yeah, that's sipping on it though.
I'm
You
usually
need
an
to get
IC
through the
guy.
Turn Two Terribles podcast. That we all need it. Mostly for Chris.
What do I have to
There
do
you go.
with this?
Go ahead.
Mad Matt, it's funny because we're talking about Seth before. Will you hand over to driving to Seth anytime soon if he's interested in racing?
What
It's a good idea for anybody.
Seth had the opportunity to race. Excuse me. When I quit racing for about 2 years there, and before I started racing again, my dad, his grandfather, said, "Hey, what about you, Seth? You want to race?" So it was a situation where I wasn't racing. If he wanted to race, that'd be fine. I would, he had the opportunity to race. He passed. So I don't think he's interested in racing. Driving,
Logan
bro.
Rumsey would have beat him anyway.
He likes way more than racing.
He's probably better off.
It's safer with him eating hot dogs with me, watching Logan Rumsey run passes like a leprechaun.
Shout out Mad Matt, Australian Mad Matt, by the way.
Yeah.
He's a photographer in Australia. So
He says, "Come on down and race with Ryan Newton."
Yeah,
There you
I'm
go.
in. I would love to come down there. Did I see something pop up on there? Said something about dirty jerseys. Just get that
Yes.
out of here.
No? Okay. All right.
That's Lauren. I like Lauren. She's a good friend of ours. We're actually going to her wedding in October, so that's why we're not going to be at the Board of Outlaw race at Lincoln. So
there was a comment
congratulations
from
to
YouTube.
Lauren.
There was a comment from YouTube earlier about Outlaws going from 4 to 6 allowable. That was a rumor I heard. I don't know if that's confirmed. I'm just talking shit, so don't take that as like, hey, I heard this. You could hear it from me, but I just heard that as a rumor as well. I don't think that was.
I don't even know what you said. What did you say?
Exactly.
About the Outlaws allowing the guys to go race 4 up to now 6.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Outside of it. So I heard that somewhere in the off season. It's probably not real. But I'd heard that they were kind of like, hey, let's loosen the reins a little bit kind of thing. So,
I mean,
why not?
We'll see.
In a perfect world, would Billy like to one day run a national series, or is Central PA enough? Says jump the cushion.
Yeah, it's always been a dream of Heather's to go on the road race with the World of Outlaws, so that's what I'm saying.
I don't think that's true. I just think that's a straight up lie.
I don't
like keep fucking yapping, buddy. See what happens.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, okay, so obviously when you're a kid, you want to race with the Outlaws. At least that's how it was back then, right? You wanted to be the star. Anymore, nah. Yeah, great. If I had the opportunity, would we do it? Sure, but it's not really not very realistic at this point in time. So
Think about all the chilies she could learn to make or eat on the road.
She's thinking of how many Slim Jims she's gonna slap him with for saying it.
Slim Jim.
Daniel Lee asks, I do have one question for Billy, and this answer can be pretty quick and to the point. Other than the engine we're racing Williams Grove back in the day, what did you, Danny, and the OGDD love about Trailways when racing the 358s there?
What did we love about Trailways? I don't know. There's a lot of things back then that. Okay, so for me back then, looking back now, it was a great time in my life, just because I was able to experience that with my family, my dad and my brother. We raced together, good, bad, and different. We did it. Trailways with Lincoln. We went everywhere. We had fun. So here's a little bit of what the difference is that I see in racing from then to now. Like back then, everybody had fun racing, and that included the pit crew. The crew, it was a lot of camaraderie. People wanted to do it. We had 3 cars. Racing was a lot cheaper back then. We didn't have anything new, but we all had crew. We all had 2, 3 guys, and everybody did it. So, man, it was such a good time back then. The Trailways deal, you didn't need to have a super fast motor. The racing was close and tight. The atmosphere there was cool because you'd see the Hosteters there. The family was there. Armin, the father was there. He'd come down and greet you there when it first started. And of course, you had the rest of them, Barry, Perry, and Brad. It was just good racing. We enjoyed it. We had a lot of success there. So it's sad, that we losing these tracks. We just did a little video yesterday. Heather posted it on our Facebook page. We were over at Carlisle Pike near Silver Spring Speedway. So it was a good time back then. I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
That's interesting you say that about that, and I think that's the balance between anything. When it's a hobby, it's fun, but when you get to be competitive, it becomes less fun. And where's that balance lie? Because you don't do it for a living. In fact, it probably costs you more than you'll ever make, clearly. But how do you balance the two, right? You're competitive. At any level of any scale, we're stupid iRacers. We're a bunch of fans, but none of us want to get our ass kicked in iRacing, no matter what we do. We're competitive about it, right? We spend a little bit here on pedals and a wheel and camera, something stupid like, hey, I want to spend more on this to get a little bit better. There's that. How do you balance that? Like, you're living that life of competitiveness and having fun at this. How do you manage that?
That's a good question. For me, it's hard. It's a hard balance, right? Because when you race 410s, and we deal with this through our business, we'll have customers that want to move up to 410 racing. And hey, why not, right? If you can do it, do it. But we always try and express to them, this is going to be the hardest thing you ever did. Okay, so not to sound rude, but who gives a shit if you won all these races in this, at Hunterstown Speedway, okay? Yeah. Or here or there, I'm not taking anything away from them guys because racing is still racing. But when you move up to a 410, it's like professional racing. So it's hard to balance it out because you gotta approach it that way as well. So it's so tough because you want to win, you want to do good. Obviously, you can't win all the time. Pressure's there. I mean, I feel the pressure all the time. Maybe not from so much from the outside, but from within. You want to do good. You put all this into it, and you got all these sponsors putting stuff into it too. So it's hard to balance it out. I mean, I'm not going to tell you right now. There isn't times where we come home here on a Saturday night and me and Heather is standing in our kitchen discussing things and, asking ourselves what the hell we're doing or why aren't we doing better or what should we be doing, And I'm sure there isn't a team or a driver out there that doesn't go through that, probably a couple times a year, let's be honest. Sure. It's just tough, man, to balance it out. It seems like the gap sometimes is really wide from the top to the rest of us, but then at the same time, it's not. It doesn't make much sense, I guess. But I feel like everybody kind of has good equipment now. But like you said earlier, the guys that have a lot of equipment can travel. They kind of are, they're a little bit above everybody else.
And that's the thing that probably, I should be thankful that I never got into it, to be fair, because that night that you run top 5 and you feel great, the car was perfect and you ran top 5, it just reels you right back in after all those weeks of not doing it, right? Like bad luck, not running great. And then you have that night and you're like, damn, that was exactly what I'm looking for. Let's go next week and it just brings you right back. And That's a competitiveness in all of us, and no matter what level. But yeah, you're right. Like, and listen, we're pretty close. I'm pretty close personally with like Kyle Keene, right? Guy never raced a go-kart, jumped into a 305, and his level of competitiveness is up here. He played a little bit of college football, like he, professional career, wants to go win every time he jumps in a race car. And
He's
went,
a good guy. The whole
holy,
family's cool.
holy shit, right? Like, great. I love the guy. And he's realistic, but also at the same time, every time he straps in a race car, he says, I need to go win a race. Every single one of you, if you don't have that, but it's hard to do, even at a grassroots level, professionally. That's a weird combo, right? In Central PA. If Billy Dietrich went and lived in North Carolina or Michigan or, I don't know, give me a state that has 410s, but it's not here on the scale. Billy Dietrich could be a 10, 12, 15 win a year guy. But you're in Central PA, right? So it's like, am I professional or am I amateur? Which
Billy
point is that,
Dietrich
right?
could
We
live
in
2 hours west and win 10 races a year.
Correct. Like, and that's a weird kind of a dynamic where you have an Anthony Macri who obviously could go run at any level, okay? But we live in Central PA, so that's a hard balance mentally. And I don't envy your spot there with the financial commitment and the time invested with also a career and a life. That's
I'm still trying to keep it enjoyable.
And then have your crew and yourself keep it where, like, hey, I'm enjoying going to the racetrack on a Saturday, investing from 9 a.m. to midnight on a Saturday.
Yeah, that goes back to what I was saying earlier. I'm like trying to have like a positive mental attitude throughout all of this, because it's so easy to not. You're 100% right, and we talk about this. I say me and Danny. Central Pennsylvania is professional. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, Central PA,
sure,
it's just, it's as close to being a professional racing as you can be without being professional or full-time racing. Sounds weird.
Sure.
Where else can you race all these races if you really want to? It's a lot of added pressure for everybody, and you walk through the pit area, and obviously you can just feel. Just being in the presence of that, everybody's got the same, mindset. Right down to the car owners and the crew. Everybody. It's a big deal. So it's hard to balance it out. I just gotta not let it get to me because, like everything in life, when you're the leader of the team, if you start wavering, then everybody around you is going to feel it as well. So that's something I'm working on. I feel like last year it kind of got to me, but this year I'm going to do better at that. At least that's my plan. And it's tough, man. This Central PA racing ain't easy.
And listen, I'll say this is my kind of thing. We'll get you out of here. Appreciate your time so much, man. We love having you on yearly, and we don't want to overdo this. We'd love to have you on more often, but I don't want to overdo this every year. That's kind of like been our vibe with this. I will say this, man. I appreciate, like, the power of positive thinking is a real thing, whether it's in real life, our racing hobby, weekend / professional, right? Like, the power of positive thinking is a real thing. And no matter what people think, if you're out there, and I've lived this in my own life, of the negative things and the negative thoughts can overcome you, and it will affect your decision making. The power of positive thinking is a real thing. And if you don't think it is, go try it. Go actually live it and try it and see how much better your life will be. And no matter what it is, right? What Billy, whether it's at the shop, working every day in selling parts and working with people and your customers and your business, and how you help support yourself to get to this level, to every weekend and show up to the racetrack, and how it affects the people around you. Because you're right, Billy Dietrich's the leader of that team. Whether you want to be or not, you're the leader of that team without even realizing it, right? You want the people to show up and support you, but you're supporting them in a sense. So, man, that's a real thing for sure. And good luck in 2025. I will end with that. I'm done yapping. Chris and Jimmy, let you guys finish up.
I just want to tie it up. I mean, I always look forward to having Billy around, or when I see Billy in the pits, Billy, this, I'll come talk shit or whatever. One of my favorite ones. So Jimmy, go ahead and tie it up with some fan questions.
Yeah,
Obviously, he's one of our
couple more
fan
fan
favorites.
questions, real quick here. Doug Chrysler asked, Billy, I'm concerned with the weekly racing. It just seems the fans only come out for big shows and stay away from weekly shows. Am I wrong about this?
No, you're not wrong. I don't know what. Am I concerned? A little bit. Yeah, I mean, I hear. So I try and get over to the grandstand side of Lincoln. Some. Okay, Heather's over there selling merch. So if it's the middle of summer and we're prepared, and I try and slip over there for, even if it's for 20 minutes, there ain't a lot of people there sometimes. So, and the Grove kind of gets a bad rap, and the Grove's got a lot more capacity. So I kind of take that into consideration sometimes. I don't really know what the answer is to that. You can say promoting, you can say this, say that. One thing that stands out to me that I thought as a competitor is the two coolest things all year. Okay, is I think the Grove does it twice. I think I don't know if they call it Kids Night or Fans Night or Appreciation Night, but 1 week they open the inside pits up, and then 1 week they open the outside pits up. Okay, I think that's important, and I think Lincoln did that one time this year because I remember we had our cardboard cutouts out for whatever that race was.
That was also a question too. Somebody's asking if you're going to have.
So I mean, it's frustrating when you have kids night and you don't see a whole lot of kids. It's frustrating when you just don't see that interaction anymore. I don't know. It's disappointing. When I was younger, you'd hear ads on the radio. They'd be giving tickets away for free, so on and so forth. You just don't see that stuff anymore. I know it's a different time now. I'm a little concerned. I guess the tracks can live off of them weekly shows where they're making some money and then hit the home runs when the big shows come around. But I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, it's not an easy answer. It's not.
BAPS probably has the upper hand on being in front of the audience more on a regular basis than any other tracks. It seems like. I think Port Royal is right in there. They do some social stuff. Sealands Grove, see a lot of other stuff now, but probably something out there they can do.
2 more questions real quick.
Sure.
Robert Jones asked, are you going to Williams Grove opening day?
Yeah, I'll be there. Plan on it. Yeah, we'll be there Sunday afternoon, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be the icebreaker, boys.
Might be. You never know.
And then probably the most important question of the evening from Tyler. Double cheeseburger or just a burger, fried pickles or no fried pickles?
All right. Well, I know what Tyler's after here. Tyler's after the Rutter's fried pickles, probably a soda, any kind of junk food he can get his hands on, the double cheeseburger with pickles, mustard, ketchup, the whole 9 yards. I'm trying to, it's race season, so single burger. That's it. trying to watch my figure. Not easy, but I'm watching. So, hey, I want to say that I appreciate you guys. I know we're getting close to the end here. I do see the comments as well. All the fans out there, I appreciate the comments, and I appreciate everybody watching the YouTube stuff. My wife does an awesome job of that. Shout out to her.
Fantastic job.
A lot of fans watch our stuff. We can't believe how many people do. So I appreciate that. And you guys do a good job. So, yeah.
Thank you. We try.
I appreciate you, man. We've talked about this a little bit, like between us. There's room for a lot of this content in Central PA. Tyler Koenig does a great job. Jeremy Elliott, there's room for a lot of this stuff. And the more of Billy Dietrichs we can have, the better. I know you may not believe that, but there's not enough guys who are willing to put themselves out there and share their experiences and what they go through. I wish more did it because it would gain traction. There we have we can't believe we have 3 fans, let alone 300. It's wild.
Right.
So
and look at that. Billy's the only one locally that week to week you have your shop talk, you have your race night stuff. You're the only guy doing it that I know of. I mean, Millard's Michael Millard. But like you're doing your
He's kind of
deal.
fall off the map a little bit. He's gone.
Yeah, it's
I don't
fine.
know.
He's I guess
still
he
around
ran
here?
out of. No
Yeah,
one
I
cares.
talked to Michael
Um,
a little bit. You know, believe it or not, he's like doing some entrepreneur stuff away from the
that's
social
good.
media stuff. So props
Love
to
that
him.
for him.
Yeah,
Like he's being
But
successful.
you kind of build a base, a fan base. You're personable, right? And your merch is cool. Your car looks cool, and just the way you do the racetrack stuff, the way Heather obviously helps you with the videos, you kind of set a trend. You kind of set the tone for what I wish more guys would do. You see Tanner Holmes do a little bit, but like I don't know, I enjoy yours.
Let's Chris. Let's be honest. If Heather wasn't there, would Billy be doing it?
No,
Billy, yeah,
No shot. No shot.
it's a
Done.
lot of work. She does all. I mean, you guys do a show, so I'm sure you guys have.
we got Jimmy for that. He's our Heather.
She does so much work for her. But the product, and it's just me talking, is like second to none when it comes to the videos roll out. She's got to have them perfect. I know a lot of people, comment on how great the videos flow and all that stuff. And that's all her, I will say that I feel like her and I as a team have gotten better when it comes to how to do the videos and the flow of the video. And, instead of me having to say certain words 20 times, I'm down to like 18. But she's coaching me along. So, I want to say that kind of what you said there. It's a shame that there isn't more opportunity for the fan interaction to meet some of these guys outside of the race car. I mean, I know not everybody's going to be going to embrace that, but damn, if they could just like hang out with their favorite driver a little bit or even talk to some of these guys, they find out they're a totally different person, maybe what they think they are.
Right.
Yeah, like Chris Frank's one of my favorite people ever. And
Yeah, I mean, he's
who would have
everybody's
knew?
guy.
Who would have knew? My closing thought, I got it from a backwoods dude. So you're an outdoorsman. He wants to know how do you go about getting ticks off of you if you were to get one on?
Dude, that's a good question. Like, I mean,
Hey, he's a duck hunter. He's wild. I don't deal with this, but like,
now I'm getting the heebie-jeebies. I don't even. that's pluck them off, I guess.
Yeah, just get them off of you.
Oh boy.
Thank you so much for joining us, and keep this. I like the positive mindset, and I really wish you the best all this upcoming year. I want to say it's at least 30, 40 comments about how great your car looks this year. How about you give a shout out to some of those sponsors on that car?
Yeah, I see Mitch Bodine in here in the chat. Mitch has been awesome. Magoo's Motorcycles on the front wing. Appreciate him. Got Rack Daddies on there as well. Flatwork Concrete, new sponsor on the side of the hood this year. Stellbecker Electric, Hornbaker's Landscaping. Of course, Dowdy's Pest Control's on the wing. They're on there as well. Frank the Tank, Drop Vink Tattoo, which he just sponsored the Miss Motorama pageant this past weekend. So he's all over Facebook. So if you need a tattoo, see Frank. Big Hill Cider Works, local place. If you're thirsty, by all means, they got great cider, great pizza. Orix Fine Finishing is on there. Sharp Farms, a new sponsor this year. Barlow Ag Services on there, and the Beach Playhouse. I think I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying it right. They're new sponsors as well. And my buddy Bob from Michigan, he's on there. He kind of became part of the team through the YouTube. He came in and visited us last year, and we've all kind of struck up a friendship, and he kind of became part of the team, so that's cool. And Troy Savage is on there. He's on the car. He's a great guy. Helps us out too. So my buddy Josh Starry and his wife are on there also. So I think I got everybody. Shout out to my crew. A couple of my guys have been under the weather, but everybody's going to come back strong and get 2025 underway pretty soon.
Absolutely.
Listen, we're going to have you back this year before this show next year because you want to race.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just do it. I mean,
Yeah.
Book it.
sounds
Billy
good.
Dietrich, Victory Lane. We're going to have him back that couple days later, Friday, Saturday night. I don't give a shit which one. You just win one. We'll have you back.
Sounds good, guys.
One more quick question because it just came in. Jason Ab says, I heard rumors about a 2026 Chili Bowl run. Care to comment?
Yeah, so Jason Adams there actually offered me to drive a car he has. He's paying for the whole thing. So you heard it here first. He's footing the bill. I got to show up with my seat and my helmet.
Can we
And
imagine
Let's
Billy?
go.
Can we imagine a Billy D
go.
Gold Driller?
Let's
run, baby?
go.
Flip it. I got to put it in. I got to put
Billy
it in
wins
chat
a
with my
Golden
wingless.
Driller. We're burning the whole place down.
Like I got to put it in chat with my wingless Indiana, Ohio boys. Like it's got to be like
Yo.
Jimmy. Just stop. Okay.
I'm a diamond in the dirt that ain't been found, boy.
Get it.
All right. Well, there you go. Billy going to Tulsa. So that's awesome.
He's the first
Thanks,
entry.
Billy.
Confirmed.
That's a mic drop. Mic drop.
King ain't
Thank you, Billy.
My friend.
See ya.
Billy.
See ya. Awesome. Always awesome with Billy. That's awesome. That's huge news. That's
Holy
wild.
shit, that's
I thought
awesome.
it was a joke at first, but
It's definitely still a joke, but
I
Billy's
don't
gonna
know.
win that.
Anyway, so before we get into Icebreaker real quick, JC, you were at Motorama. You kind of touched on it early in the show. What'd you see there? How'd that go for you? How anything new?
Yeah. So Motorama is, if you've never been to, I feel like everybody in Central PA was at Motorama because I got there early and couldn't park but like a mile away and had to take a shuttle. So I think everybody was there. But if you've never been to Motorama, I don't know what you've been missing. Like you don't know what you've been missing. It's unbelievable. If you want anything related to a car or truck with an engine, it's there. There's off-road exhibits, there's import exhibits, there's muscle cars, there's class. I like name something that you could think has an engine in it, and it's there. Side by sides. There's a random row of side by sides. They're dirty still. Like, why do you have a side by side that's dirty sitting in this building as a show car? I don't understand that part. But like anything you can imagine at all is at Motorama. If you're not going to Motorama, you need to go check it out. Sprint cars, micros, legends, street stocks. It doesn't matter what kind of race car was there. They're there. They have the remember the Robot War things? What was that called? The huh?
It's like Robo Wars or I know what you're talking about. But the robots
They
would
put
fight.
in like a plexiglass cage and
Yeah.
they build robots and like attack each other and shit. It's
Love
wild.
that game.
Yeah, like they have that there. Two different things of that going on. in a big,
BattleBots.
like, a big arena and
BattleBots.
shit. There's remote RC cars and quarter midgets and go-karts and obviously dirt bikes and four-wheelers and unbelievable. And then the amount of vendors that are there and the spaces that they have. I got lost 3 times. I didn't like, where the hell am I? And I don't know where to go. There's a food court. There's a food court, just food trucks. Anyway, these shows are wild. I got this year, I got an opportunity to go stand on the floor and do photography for the dirt track stuff or whatever I wanted to do. And I ran out of memory card space in like 4 hours. I didn't bring enough shit. I've never had that happen. I almost got hit by motorcycles.
So you almost got taken out on the stretcher too.
Yeah, I almost got hit like 3 times. Didn't expect that to happen. And I'm like at a racetrack, you guys, Jimmy and Chris, you've seen me at a racetrack. Like I'm pretty aware of what's happening around me. I pay attention. I don't, if I'm screwing off, I'm inside the fence. Like I'm not out there screwing around too much. I'm paying attention. I'm in the zone. I felt like I was in the zone and felt like I was going to get hit by something at any moment. Like, it was wild. There were so many crashes. There's varying levels of experience there. There's like 3 and 4 year olds racing little electric bikes. Like they're not racing them, but they're trying to get around. They're up these big ass hills. Like I have a 5-year-old son and I'm like, damn dude, I'd be scared for him. Like these kids are nuts. Then there's adults racing and double jumping and wild up in the sky. It was such a wild, varying levels of age and experience there. If you haven't gone to the main arena and watched that stuff, go do it. It's insane. It's worth the ticket. It was shitty weather. It was ice and snow, and the place was jam-packed full of people. I couldn't believe it. I thought get up there the time I would with the threat of weather, I would have a good parking spot. No, I still had to pay for parking and shuttle my ass in a crowded-ass bus across the street to even get in the place.
That's wild.
Unbelievable. If you haven't experienced Motorama, it's worth it. It's in Harrisburg at the farm show. Very thankful for the folks that allowed me to be in there, part of the group to shoot. I felt very much like an amateur amongst professionals that shoot these guys. One of the guys that I really admire, Cody Darr, Darr. He shoots up at Dublin Gap, the motorcycles and the kids, and he's a master. I woke up and like, dude, your work is amazing, and he is amazing. So whatever I got to do was very rookie level stuff, but felt like a tune-up for the year. Had a big surgery in October in my Achilles. It was good to get out there. I walked 3 or 4 miles. It was nice to get out. I was definitely worn out by the end of it. Not in race shape season yet for myself, but what an experience. It was awesome. And listen, I appreciated Racing Extravaganza. Take Racing Extravaganza and add racing to it.
Yeah.
Like actual racing, because they have so much space in what they do, and so many cars on display, trucks, it didn't matter. So just a cool experience all around. And if I had time, Mandy, the clip of the bike going into the tunnel literally was standing where I was standing. It was 15 yards to my left. Craziest shit I've ever seen. I was like, that just like I felt like I was on TMZ, like a viral video of something. Like, what the hell just like I wasn't on video, but I'm like, I watched it in person. That was the first of 3 of them go out over by like 2 p.m. on the first day. There was a girls division of motorcycles later in the day, and I'll listen. I've been around this. I've watched sprint cars. I've avoided them. I pay attention. I don't take it for granted that I'm not safe doing photography. I was standing for hours, and I went to sit down on a hay bale. I was looking through my camera, and the one guy, Jeremy, comes up. Another Jeremy. He's the smarter one of the two for sure. Comes up and says, "Hey, probably not a great idea to sit here." And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I grab my shit and I go to stand up, and here comes a fucking motorcycle at my face, up over the ramp, down over the thing, slide on concrete, and he's yanking on me while I'm trying to like get away from it. This thing stopped like 2 feet from me. It was the craziest shit, and I knew better, and I was being real stupid. So listen, if you're ever at a racetrack, you're ever doing
doesn't
something,
matter
don't take it
any
for granted
racetrack
that they're not going to
you know.
you. Don't take it for granted. And I felt really, really stupid as it happened because I knew better. And I sat down anyway because I'm like, damn, my foot hurts. Sat down. I shouldn't have. Should have walked out, found a seat somewhere else. But you know, that's the dangers of what these folks do. It's crazy. But me being a stupid spectator, took it for granted for 30 seconds and shouldn't have. But take my advice. Don't ever take it for granted that you're safe. There were people in the stands not far, like right 5 feet below where they were sitting, were getting hit by motorcycles into barriers. It's crazy. So, but it was a great time. Again, I'm not here for just the crashes, but there was some cool side-by-side stuff on like motorcycles and quads going side-by-side over jumps around corners, 90 degrees. Like, shit's crazy. We see crazy at sprint cars all the time. That shit was nuts.
Yeah,
like they're nuts. Those kids and adults are nuts. But anyway, that's my story of that. Great experience. But I'm ready for Icebreaker.
I think
I'm ready for some sprint.
at least the story of maybe Motorama was the Sam Miller 45 Zipco headers car. Got quite a few comments in here, man. That thing that shocked me, but I guess because I wasn't aware of the ties there with Zenco now. But man, that car looks great.
Okay. I forgive me, guys. I should have ranted about this longer than that. There's so much confusion about what's happening here. Okay. So Jimmy, if we clip this and put it out, I'll share it on my photos page. I'll share it on this page. Because I put this photo on my photos page for a reason, because a couple days ago, I posted a picture of Logan Wagner saying, is there Logan Wagner news coming soon? Or like, are we going to wait till the opening at Port Royal to hear what's happening? Because I've heard what's happening. I think I know what's happening, but all of it's rumor until somebody, like, I don't like posting rumors because I'm not the part of the teams, right? I just hear what I hear. I heard something and I'm like, you're going to hear, like, they're pretty good usually about, the family's been pretty good about posting things or people associated. Haven't heard a word. That led into a conversation on that post. Oh, he'll be in the Zenco car. Then people going, it doesn't exist. Well, I'm here to tell all of you it exists. The Zenco car lives on. It lives on in a different form. So follow along, everybody, because this was really hard for people to comprehend on my page. This isn't that difficult. What you need to understand, Zenco Headers as a business lives on. It lives on with different owners. John and Pee Wee Zamitis, I believe are the names. They sold the business. They're getting out. They're retiring. They don't live forever. Turns out humans don't live forever. They're selling the business. They wanted it to carry on. It could have easily just gone away. Zip, out. We're done. Close the doors. Sign comes down. It doesn't exist. It lives on. It just so happens the new owners of Zenco Headers have a son who races dirt cars.
That's crazy.
So hear me out. If you own Zenco Headers and you happen to have a family member, a son, who raced a sprint car, would you put Zenco Headers in the race car?
Consider it.
Maybe. You consider it. Maybe, maybe not. But hear me out. If you owned it and you had a son who raced sprint cars, you said, hey, I could represent my business and put sponsorship if I was going to do some marketing. Maybe I'll put it on my son's race car.
Consider it.
Guess what happened here, everybody? The Miller family bought Zenco Headers. They are now the owners of Zenco Headers, and they may move it, okay? It may not be in the same location that you grew up watching and seeing, but the business lives on. If you're upset about it not being in the same location, I'm sorry for you. That's a little bit of part of your childhood, maybe that
Kind of like Silver
changes.
Spring.
But the business lived on, which is the important part. Well, that didn't live on, Chris. This is different. Okay?
Yeah, that's true.
That went away.
Racing lives on.
Pay attention. This lives on. Zenco Headers lives on. And it lives on with the Miller family. And it just so happens Samuel Miller drives a sprint car. Samuel Miller came up from the micro division a couple years ago into the 358s. They announced probably a month or two ago they're going to move up to the 410 division. Before I even heard of them buying Zenco Headers, they said, we're spending the money mostly, and a lot of teams go through this. Other than motor costs, they're spending a lot of money to put a good sprint car on the field, on the track. We're going to move up to the 410 division. Now, you all out there in the world can make your decisions of what you think Samuel's ready for or not ready for. That's not what I'm here to talk about. The fact is, Samuel's parents bought Zenco Headers, and they're going to support Samuel in the best way they know how. And guess what? Zenco Headers is going on the 45. It's a 45.
Yeah,
45, right? Yeah, because that's the number he ran in the 358 division. I'm sorry if your traditions hurts your feelings that it's not a 1, but you're going to have to get over that. His number is 45, and his family owns Zenco Headers. Because guess what? They can do what the hell they want with the number on the race car. If you feel like that's just changing everything you know, and like, I'm sorry,
What it is.
but the fact is, it didn't have to live on. The fact is, it didn't have to have anything to do with the sport, but it does. And it's going to live on through that. So Samuel Miller in the Zenco car with new ownership of Zenco Headers, nothing has really changed except everything has really changed. But the fact that it gets to live on, oh, Brandon, you'd be amazed how many people were like confused and it's misleading and it's this and it's that. Brandon, if you go through I don't want to promote I've really not promoted my own shit. If you know me, you know I take photos. Jeremy Zarfos Photography. There was a post about Logan Wagner, and like it was amazing how many people were confused by this. So I even put in the thread the picture of Samuel's car because I went to Motorama, not even realizing that I didn't know. I knew his parents bought Zenco Headers, but when I walked in, I went, holy shit, check this out. This is cool, right? There it is. It's all put together. That all makes so much sense now. So Zenco Headers lives on. Okay, there you go. Okay, Heather, thank you. I didn't even know that. Samuel and the other sons, it says plural, are also owners of it. So the whole family, Miller family, owns Zenco headers. So they're going to support their son, and in turn, Samuel, with his efforts, are going to support Zenco headers. Right? It's a sponsorship,
That's crazy.
just like any
It's
other sponsorship that's ever existed.
almost like how Zenco one car funded their race team.
Wild. Isn't that crazy?
What?
What a concept.
No way.
Zenco headers existed, and they created a race team to
That funded
sell
it.
more Zenco
What?
headers. Wild concept,
Holy
everybody.
shit.
So this is a long rant about nothing has changed except everything has changed, but it's new owners, new driver.
It's the same name.
And what a great paint scheme, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Love the scheme. Brandon Raymer at Chop Design. What a, like the Z in the design, right? Like,
I love this comment.
There, Samuel. Thank you.
I
My
love
God.
that. We're learning
Like,
that nostalgia is a drug today, folks. Yeah,
I hope.
that's
Listen,
it's very true.
We're gonna
Put the
I'm
number
gonna
on the door.
Put the
I'm
number
gonna
on
expose
the
myself a little
door.
bit here, okay? Because I'm getting close to the age where nostalgia is a thing. I'm getting close, but I also feel like my brain functions well enough that I can accept this.
I don't know, man. You have
Okay.
two old Brett Marks wings back there. You better settle down.
They're not that old. Listen, listen.
Oh, there it is.
Coors Light Wing-
That's the first
Coors Light-
sign.
The Coors Light Wing isn't that old, okay?
It's true, but he's
Jimmy,
retired
how old
now.
are you, Jimmy?
Oh,
I don't want to talk about it. I'm
38.
37.
Thing.
Chris, how old are you?
32, buddy.
Okay, Chris is younger. I'm 42. So I'm getting to the age where this nostalgia thing is a thing. But even I can see what's happening here. And if it hurts your feelings, that's not a one, okay? And it's not white, but it is white. But you're confused by this, that it's just not the same thing. It's the same damn thing.
You imagine if they made
There we
that car
go.
black? Dude, the internet would have burned down because they stole the Zenco.
I wish we had the picture ready. But if you want to see the picture of it, it's on their social media. Samuel Miller, 45, the Providence Race Team. Okay, hear me out on this. Providence Race Motorsports. I think Providence Motorsports. That was Providence before it was Zenco involved, right? That's like what they're carrying on. I know that's going to be confusing for all of you that they just didn't manifest it all and become Zenco. Like, holy shit, okay? But Samuel's young, early in his racing career, taking his lumps. He's learning how to do it, figuring this out. But at the end of the day, I'm a parent. Millers are parents. They're supporting their son the best way they know how. I would have done the same exact damn thing.
Absolutely.
Kudos to them, keeping the business alive, supporting their son's career, what he wants to do in life.
And
Shout out to all of them.
It keeps, which people are so nostalgic for having that brand on a car, and they're keeping that alive. So I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, I don't see.
It's awesome.
It's just wild to me. All the, I don't know. It's just wild.
The confusion. I don't understand it.
I don't get it either.
And I think even on, they talked about they might show up. They're going to come out to Port this year, right? It wouldn't be they even admitted it wouldn't be a Zenco car without us coming to Port Royal.
Yeah,
that's
right.
awesome.
Yeah, that's
right.
Awesome.
Super cool. So super excited for all that. But anyway, yeah, beautiful race car. They won some awards at the show. I think some sort of a promoters award. I didn't read a ton of it, but beautiful race car. One of the few race cars I took pictures of. No offense to anyone else's race car, but man, that thing was gorgeous. So excited to see how that goes for them this year. Excuse me.
So that's awesome.
That's it. I'm done talking. You guys take the rest of the show. I'm out of here.
No, that's it is kind of wild. Just the confusion about it. I don't know what's so hard to grasp about it. But there we go. If you were having a hard time grasping it, there you go. So moving on from Motorama, let's take a look at this weekend coming up. Like we were talking about with Billy, Icebreaker weekend starts on Saturday, scheduled Saturday. 410 sprint cars only, 5K to win. You know the deal. $20 to get in, 3 p.m., February 22nd on Saturday. And then also on Sunday, same time, same place, same deal. 410 sprint cars, 5K to win, 3 p.m., $20 to get in. Grandstands at 1. Taking a look at the weather, because you got to. And so, hopefully something I'm going to try to do for your official Turn 2 Terribles race day forecast. Way too early, but it looks great this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, partly sunny. No precipitation, but it's going to be cold. It's going to get down in the teens at night on Friday, barely get up into the 40s. Plus, you have the threat of a snowstorm here. Doesn't look like as bad as it did a couple days ago, but it still looks like, hey, you're going to get some winter precipitation here Wednesday and Thursday. You know, what do we think? Do we think they get any of this in? I think, for me, Sunday, I wouldn't try Saturday. I would go Sunday, or push it to next week in all because it does look like it's going to be up in the mid-50s next week. That's my personal opinion, but Jay-Z?
Yeah, I think Sunday. Listen, I'm going to be realistic. Like, I'm praying that we get Sunday. I'm hoping for one. And if it's going to be one, it's going to be Sunday. The high temps are high enough that maybe it gets warm enough early enough that it thaws enough out. We can get people parked. We can get people to the racetrack, and they can prep the racetrack enough to get a race in. If it's going to be any day, it's going to be Sunday. That weather system now, I'm a follower of weather. I don't know shit, but I listen, and it looks more and more that system is now on the West Coast. Looks more and more like a Richmond, Virginia type storm that is more and more south. And look, Lincoln Speedway from where I live is 45 minutes west of me. I'm on the same plane, like north-south, and we're barely getting anything in York, which means even further west of us, we'll get even less, maybe nothing. If it's above freezing for 3 days in a row, nothing on the ground, it's going to be cold Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, very cold, below freezing.
I mean, the wind's been wicked. I don't know for you. I know here it's been nuts.
And it's above freezing. We might be able to get Sunday in. I think it definitely being this edgy will push some cars to not show up if you're not racing for points, if at all. And, hopefully we have enough for a full field. But I know on the schedules, I saw Anthony Macri, I saw Danny Dietrich, I saw Brett Marks, I saw some other regulars are going to show. I don't think any of the teams are like, oh my God, I can't wait to be there and do this, but they're going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to look at one of the favorites, right? Like, I don't know the format. I'm sure it's just a random draw. They're not doing time trials. You're going to draw for it. There's no handicapping. It's all draw stuff. Transfer the feature, go race. It's survival. Someone's going to win the thing. As we look back in history and look at winners of the Icebreaker, you can have your Adam Wilts. You can have your Rick Lafferty's. You can have, it could be a guy you expect, and it can be absolute people you don't expect.
Yeah.
Because it's not the surface everyone wants. It's just not. No matter, I don't care. You have a Fred Putney or you don't, you're not going to get a surface that promotes guy winning from 14th place. Period. End of sentence. That's not why we show up. We show up because we're fans. We want to see race cars. We're not going to see passing. It's just the world we live in, but we're all happy to be there. And that's what we need to be. Be there, show up, watch a race, go home and say, I got to see a race this weekend. Period. End of sentence. Yep. I don't give a shit who wins the race, my favorite or not my favorite. I got to see a race in February in Pennsylvania. If we get it in Sunday, I will be there. I can't wait for it. I hope we see a race. Period. Yeah. I don't care how good or bad it is. Last year, everybody bitched about the Williams Grove Dust Fest. I didn't give a shit. Yeah, I got to see a race. I got to see a race on a Sunday afternoon when we goddamn well shouldn't be watching racing that early in the year. I got to see a race. Be happy you saw a damn race. Show up, support it, have a good time. That's it.
I think Seth Dietrich here says it too. They need the start time at 1 p.m. then this 3 p.m. BS, too late and too cold. I want a proper day show, and I agree. I think that's probably the only way you get this in both days is if you move it up. Because I think by the time 3 p.m. The sun's going down still at like 5:30. It's going to get really cold. You're going to get down in the 20s. It's not great for the race cars. Maybe it doesn't hurt the fan attendance, and that would probably be a factor. But, hey, I mean, at least we're not talking about it's going to be snowing, and it's going to be – at least it's a decision. And I just think with how cold it's been, whether it's early in the week here, even whether you get precipitation or not, just how cold it is, it's going to be tough to get both days in, I think, in my opinion. But I'm hoping for both. Marie says that Jason Persley's announced this morning that he's scheduled to be at Lincoln. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. Chris, what do you think?
Bless their hearts. I won't be there. I'm working.
I didn't ask you if you're going to be there, Chris.
Yeah.
What do you think?
What we ask you think you're going to get it in?
Bless their hearts. I don't know.
Come on. Understand the assignment.
Lincoln's gonna
Lincoln.
Lincoln's gonna Lincoln, but it's on Flow Racing, no. So
That's true.
Doesn't matter.
It does matter to Lincoln.
You're going to
I
get
don't think
people
it does
there
on the-
regardless. If
I
they're
don't think it
racing,
does on the Icebreaker.
people and cars are going to be there, and they know that.
The whole country will be tuned in. That's why it's on Flow. If you're
I
local and it's
understand
above
that.
40 degrees and people are going to show up for that race, like I told Billy earlier, will there be some? Sure. Absolutely. But the place will be full enough. They'll be fine. $5,000 to win. They'll make their money on Sunday. But the rest of the country will be tuned in because it's the only sprint car racing happening.
Lincoln doesn't historically seemingly see it that way.
Oh, it's not historical. This is the Icebreaker. This isn't June. This isn't June, right? Like, this is the Icebreaker. Have you not been around for this before?
I have been, and I don't know. Bless their hearts. That's where I'm going to end this.
It's going to be, yes, Brandon, it's going to be a goddamn party.
Yep.
Show up for it. Have a good time. Put your damn warm clothes on. Show up and watch a damn race. Enjoy your day.
If not,
we
watch
haven't
it on
seen one in a while. Come out and enjoy it.
Definitely
Have fun. It's going to be sunny. Even if it's not great, like super warm, it's going to be sunny. You know what sun feels like? 45 degrees in late February? It feels like 60.
It does.
It's going to be great.
That's what I mean. Looking at next week, it's going to be maybe 55. I'll be in shorts and a t-shirt.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
I'm also with, unfortunately, I'm also with Chris. I won't be going down for this. I'll be tuned in on Flow, though. I'm hoping to get a camper this weekend. So, or at least start setting that up. So that's where I'll be. I actually think I'll be at the RV show in Harrisburg. So that's what I'll be doing. But I hope to get both days in.
For me, it's a little, I don't know. So let's rewind in the last year with like the final showdown at Baps. With the whole race season, I can freeze at Baps in November. I have a lot harder time, like a diesel motor. I'm not ready to go yet for this 40-degree race car stuff yet.
Yeah, no, you're wrong. But it's okay. You're allowed to be.
I wasn't trying to be right. I was just telling you how I feel.
Marie says the same temps next weekend, too. I think the big difference is, for me, is looking at one, it's going to be a little bit warmer. It's going to be in the 50s. And it's also going to be much warmer throughout the week. Let them be able to work with the track. Because, I mean, it's
Jimmy, let's just tell the truth. The big difference is next week's Port Royal.
No, it's not.
Chris, why are you so far? Why are you almost off the camera? What are you doing?
He has to show his big trophies here.
Which one? This one or this one?
Yeah, trophies for participation trophies.
Hey, that's Speedway 94. Jay-Z bought me that.
Oh, no.
Well, let's take a look at March. March here, upcoming races, some notable ones throughout March here. Port Royal's opener is March 8th. That's 2 weeks from now. 410s and super late models. And then March 1st, next week, also Lincoln has 410s and PA micro midgets scheduled. So if you don't get it this weekend, then you could have your Icebreaker next week. Also, March 15th, 358 opener. 410s and 358 regular show for Lincoln. March 15th. And then Sunday show the day after that at Williams Grove with 410s. And then Baps, they open up their season a little bit earlier with their regular shows, but their first 410 race is with 358s on March 30th. So we're getting right to it. So I mean, Lincoln still has next week. If it doesn't, we're just gonna have to keep an eye on the weather. Gonna have to keep an eye on the conditions there at Lincoln. Making sure that they have a track that's at least usable and but. If they're racing, cars and fans are going to be there.
And my opening day, circle it, March 16th.
I will be at Port Royal for sure. And then I'd like to get to a Lincoln race at sometime in March. We'll see how that goes. Maybe March 1st, maybe the 15th. We'll see. But petition to bring back Port Royal opening on Sunday. I agree. I love Sunday day races. And like you were saying too, legit day races. I don't want we're doing hot laps at 3 o'clock, and then we're racing the sun. You know what I mean? I know in 3 weeks we spring ahead, so we'll get a later sunset. But still, I mean, just got to be. It sucks because you're right here, but like just be a little more patient. We're gonna have plenty of racing coming up, and hopefully the weather breaks here soon. So what races you guys looking forward to here? I know Chris, you
March
said Williams
16th.
Grove.
March 16th, Williams Grove opener. See you there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, all of them, if I can get to all of them, early season. Day races are great. I love it. Is it the best races I've ever seen in my life? No, but like it's daytime and it's sprint car races. Like I don't give a shit. And I got all season to sweat my ass off at night, all day and all evening and all night. Like this is daytime racing. It's early. How much fun did we all have during that makeup day national open race that, this fall?
Yeah.
That was fun as fuck. Like, give me some of these races. Yeah, the track's not going to be perfect every weekend, but I'm not expecting it to be. The bar's low. When the bar's low, these races typically go over the bar. When we all set the bar way up here for racetrack and how good it's going to be, and then we all go home and go, you're not going to undershoot the bar. Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Hopefully that's not nostalgia, but I'm here for it. I'm excited. Williams Grove opener I always make. That's for sure. Whenever Lincoln opens, yeah, I don't know if I'll make it to port opener if it matches up with the Lincoln race early in the season. But the BAP show 1000% will be there. 410s, 358s. Best show at BAPS you could put together. I love that combo. I wish there was like 10 more of those a year with 410s and 358s. Not downplaying other divisions, but it's one of my favorite races of the year. The 410s, 358s at BAPS combo. So, probably all those, but maybe the port opener. No offense to port, but that's the drive for me this long. That's Lincoln. That's Jimmy coming to Lincoln, right?
Yeah.
It's fair. Just all three of us talking about it. Chris is in the middle of like going to port or coming to Lincoln. Williams Grove literally he could stumble his way there, and he probably has this fall or this winter by himself. But Jimmy coming to Lincoln is me going to port. So if I'm picking, it's going to be Lincoln early season until it's time to get to Port Royal. So,
yeah.
But yeah, as many as I can.
That's usually how I am. That's why location's a big deal. So like that's kind of where I was like, I don't know if I want to drive 2 hours to,
I mean, I get it, but the biggest thing, new partnership, NARC No Limit, this Sunday, Turn 2 Tables qualifying. Check it out.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Are you talking about cartoon racing?
Yeah, we
Riley's?
got a cartoon race right here.
Yeah, that wasn't the time for that.
That's a perfect
It's like
time for
talking
that.
about the Eagles on this. This is not a football podcast.
He has a bird and a
Hey,
stolen
good.
jersey hanging over a panel there.
Chris, good luck at NARC, whatever that's called. It's not even a West Coast thing, by the way. They just make up a name.
Hey, we are sponsoring the qualifying, though.
Santos asks, how about Port Royal walking back their atrocious decision with their big show races for season seat holders? It looks like
Did see that.
Season ticket holders will be able to keep their seats for now the Whiker and the Tuscarora 50, if I read that right. Before they were going to be able to, which they did that with the Tuscarora 50, I think, before. Maybe I'm wrong.
If I read it right, yes, now season ticket holders have their seats no matter what. Previously, they would have to buy general admission day of the race or whatever to keep their seats, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I agree with this decision. I think this should have been the way it should have been all along. I probably didn't take this as serious as I should have in the past, like because I'm not involved in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like shame on me for being like out of sight, out of mind a little bit. But dude, you pay for a season ticket and you commit to the racetrack for the season and you pay that money, your seat shouldn't matter the level of the race. It really shouldn't. So good on Port to make it right.
They made it right.
But kind of shame on them for not getting it right to begin with and recognizing the people that are supporting them for a whole season. Would you take if you're a sponsor and you put a billboard up in 3 and 4 and you said, They said, here's what it costs for the season. But said, no. We're going to take your banner down unless you pay more for these 3 races. How would you feel about that?
Well, it's I could compare it to Eagle. My uncle's a season ticket holder. That would be like you pay for season tickets, you get to go all these games, but then when the playoffs roll around, the big games, your seat's gone.
Yeah, they don't do that, right?
No, you get
right.
for serve.
You committed to them and said, "Hey, up front, I'm paying for these seats, whether I show up or not. But here's my money. But it's only good."
But Jimmy, your uncle has to buy that playoff ticket to keep that seat, right?
Sure.
That's what Port Royal did, though. You had to reserve seat, just like your uncle has season tickets. Port Royal initially,
but
the Weikert and Tuscarora 50.
The difference
you had
is
to buy
that
a general admission to keep that spot. It's the same damn thing.
The difference is that you're not guaranteed the postseason. You're guaranteed the Weikert. You're guaranteed. The
I understand that. I'm saying it's
part
like your argument.
Season.
It's kind of weird because you bought a season ticket. You bought a season ticket, but you still only get that seat if you bought.
All right, so that would be like saying, all right, the Eagles, you have season tickets, but they're playing the Lions next year at home. Maybe this potentially open up the season. You don't get tickets for that because that's going to be the biggest game.
Because that's a big game. They won 13 games last year, 14, 15 games. You don't get that one.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Maybe that would be a better comparison.
That's going to be a highly sought after ticket in the regular season. You don't get that one. Sorry.
Yeah. And that's what Santos is saying. You had to buy advance tickets for more than general admission. Season tickets holders had to buy advance tickets prior to them walking.
Yeah. No, I think they did the right thing here. I wish they got it right all along, but they did the right thing. So I'm not going to kill them for it, but I think it should be taken as note for anybody else, our area, doing the same thing. You pay for it, you pay for it. You got it all. If you're not going to, you're going to say, like, yeah, I think they did it right here. This is the right thing to do. And there's enough seating at Port Royal. We agree on that? I looked at the biggest of the biggest races last year. I still saw places that people could sit their asses. Yeah. So
I would say, though, a couple of years earlier, though, it was hard to find a grandstand seat. And I think that's why they started changing the way they did, especially the Tuscarora 50. And it sounds like they're going to do the same with the Weikert now, which is probably smart, with the reserve seating. But just go in the infield, man. Come hang out with us.
Anyway, we got nobody left watching. Are we done?
Should be.
Daniel Lee just says Jimmy is more stoked for Selinsgrove races more than anything. I am. April 11th. I'm hyped for that.
I didn't even get to talk to Billy about that and say that Danny must have talked him into going to Selinsgrove because, he said about hitting up Selinsgrove this year. Danny must have talked him into that.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's the I did see that they were doing for the first race of the season, drivers get their pit pass for free. So that's pretty cool for both divisions, both super late models and 410s, which is pretty cool. Selinsgrove has been doing that even with the last regime, doing different things with pit passes, trying to make it cheaper for kids and stuff like that. I thought that was something cool that they did last year, even though it was a different, different promotional team. But I think this is even a great thing too that maybe more tracks can learn from. Hopefully Icebreaker this weekend. Get there if you can. If not, it will be on floor racing. Should be a packed field. I mean, we're already talking decent personally. I mean, it's the only racing going on in the country, so do not be surprised by who shows up. I'm excited for it if it does happen. I don't know if I'll be there or not, but either way, I am stoked, and I'm hoping on Monday we are talking about some races that happened at Lincoln.
Yeah, where's it at? Steph, we said in the infield, we don't have to have an issue with seating. That's where you can find us, right? For the most part, BAPS now. Infield at BAPS open, turn 2. Port Royal, turn 2. Williams Grove, unfortunately, we are down toward turn 3 in the infield. We are infield folks. Lincoln Speedway, when we show up, we're down there in turn 3-ish area. But BAPS and Port Royal, turn 2 terribles, and turn 2. That's where you can find it. Come say hi, hang out, chat, do whatever, we don't care.
Brandon's predicting 34 410s. I could see up to 40, potentially, just because of just names I've been hearing already, that people are going there. I mean, I can see almost 40. That'd be crazy.
They're all the people that were on the fence that are outside our area are deciding like tomorrow Wednesday, if they're going to come to our PA or not. Like, well, are we going to get this in? I'm sure Jerry Parrish's phone is ringing off the hook.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you going to run this thing? What's the deal? So, if they want to kind of come in and get some laps in, because nobody runs for another week. Volusia's in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Again, right?
Yeah.
Outlaws are back in 2 weeks, something like that. So I don't know.
Bike week is, I think, it's the 13th and 14th or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So who knows? We'll see. But
yeah, I just want to give a quick shout out to Marie. She placed third in our Turn 2 Terrible. We have if you saw our post, and if you're into that sort of thing, we have a DraftKings league. We've been doing it for the past couple of years, but we wanted to get more people involved. We do a weekly NASCAR contest where you have a budget. It's $3 to buy. You could come in,
have fun.
Yeah, and you pick a roster based off of a budget, and whoever scores the most points ends top 3 win money. And Marie placed third. Good buddy Ryan Smith finished second, and Tyler Schell, former iRacing champ Tyler Schell, current 305 driver this year, making his debut this year. He won this past week at Daytona. So
14? I think we had 14 people.
Yeah, we had 14 people. We have it set at 20 per week, but if more people are interested, I'll bump that up to even more. I try to keep it just into the league people, so it's just we're all playing each other. You play me, Chris, and Jay-Z, and a lot of other fans of the show. So
come take my money. I was 13th out of 14, so come take my $3. That's the way Daytona goes. I was at third at one point, and 3 laps later, I was last. So that's the way the race went.
So yeah, that's really it. Hopefully next week we are here talking about the Icebreaker, maybe with the winner, if it does happen. So
hope so.
Thanks everybody for joining us.
We'll see what guests we have. Maybe the Icebreaker winner.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully
maybe.
we'll talk to the winner.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Stay tuned. Thanks again to Billy Dietrich for hanging out. Always a fun time with him every year. And yeah.